pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
County Commissioners Court, January the 7th, our first Commissioners Court of the calendar year. We do have posting in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code as amended, also known as Texas Open Meeting Act, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll go to item number 1 is to approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2025 regular meeting and December 30th, 2025 special meeting. Are there any public comments this morning? Yes, sir.
My name is Larry Walther. Good morning. Thank you all each for your service. I very much appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. We love Freestone County. We live at 222 Lincoln Drive, which is on the lake in the Wilderness subdivision. Also have a ranch in the Clyde Ridges district over there. I want to speak about the AI data centers, and I don't know, how far the one that's been proposed has progressed and what regulatory authority you have in that regard. I do want to make you aware, though, that even Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida recently proposed legislation to establish more authority and oversight over those. They're discovering that they are quite noxious in terms of noise, light, energy consumption, and of course water utilization as well. So I'm very concerned about how a data center will impact Freestone County. Now, I'm very much a free market economist and believe people can do with what they will. I believe that's going to damage the value of surrounding property significantly. I don't believe it's a significant job generator, regardless of what might be portrayed, other than during the construction process, of course. But fundamentally, I believe in a free market economy, and I believe that means each entity should stand on its own 2 feet. I am so viciously opposed to any kind of government incentives, tax waivers, things of that nature to encourage any private enterprise, whether it's a pro football team or an AI data center or whatever. I think each party should stand on their own, run their business in a free market economy way. So I do hope, and I'm not sure how far this one has progressed, I only read about it in the paper, but I do hope in the future as these special projects come along, you'll give real serious consideration of whether the government needs to be involved in incentivizing these things, particularly where myself, my wife, and a lot of our neighbors believe this will ultimately detract from our values and lead to a lessening of the quality of life we enjoy in Freestone County. Finally, if you do have any regulatory oversight, a lot of places are adopting light standards to keep the lights down. I know even at our ranch, gosh, it used to be starved, bright at night, no lights, and of course now Corsicana or even Hullet toward Fairfield, and when they put in the gas station out here, all of a sudden, you don't see the stars as much, and that's very precious to us as the natural beauty of this area. So I believe that sort of is what I wanted to express. And again, thank you, gentlemen, very much for your service. I do appreciate it. And Commissioner Ridge, thank you during COVID. We were trying to get the plat approved and couldn't even get in the front door, but you took care of that for us. We still remember that, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And also, in public comments, we can't respond to anything, but on item of business number 15, that's for discussion on anything that we've done, pavement projects on, so it'll cover data and solar, so we can talk about it more when we get down to that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else for public comments? Okay. Move to item number 1.
Item 9, and we just discussed it on December 17th. That's a typo. It says an amount of $6 million. It should be $600 million. That's how I remember it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for December 17th.
Second.
December 30th. Minutes of the meeting.
Second up to any?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of December 17th and December 30th meetings. All in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 2, budget transfers and amendments. On your transfers on the number 3, that's department, that's going to be Constable Precinct 3.
I'll make a motion to approve budget transfers.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 3 is to approve pay bill 6.
On page 17, that deal at the bottom, is that part of that last deal?
On the capital, yeah, but we're down to 39% for that department.
What we budgeted,
Yes.
when's it gonna be over?
The last update I got from Judge DeFriend was that the attorney for the accused is still waiting on records requests from the military. And they're dragging their feet getting on that, was the last I heard. And so that the military turning over records over very slow down. But it's not a good situation.
What is it, we're at 39%?
Yeah.
We're just getting started.
All right.
Is that the one, Judge, we get some help from Lobo?
Yes, Brian, do you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so, kind of speaking a little bit blind, I'd have to get an update from Judge to figure out what's going on with that, because we handed that over to the AG's office to prosecute, hoping to of all their resources and deal with the military, him being prosecuted before, and some of the witnesses that are needed. Felt like that was the best option. My understanding of the way the insurance policy works, there hasn't been a determination of whether to seek the death penalty or not. I think once that determination is made by the AG's office, let's say the determination is made to seek the death penalty, I think that insurance policy would kick in. I think we'd have to go through the Regional Public Defender's office, and they would be appointed to represent the accused. And I believe that insurance policy would pay for their attorney's fees. It wouldn't pay for experts, travel, or anything like that.
And that's what cost us the most. But right now, I was told that this person's family retained counsel.
That's what I've heard as well. That's why I'm kind of flying a little bit blind on. I think that counsel is not death certified.
Right.
So
it depends on.
A lot of it depends on what determination is made on whether to seek death or not. I think seeking death would kind of tumble things a little bit. I think that would probably have to go through the Regional Public Defender's office and that retained counsel. I don't know exactly how that works with him. I'd have to talk to him directly.
But it costs the county a lot more money if they do seek death.
I would imagine so. Yes, in the long
You
run.
have to be death certified to, help me, Rhonda.
So the state has an incentive to make sure that people that are representing individuals that may be put to death are good enough to represent them.
So help prevent the help.
Not any Joe Blow can just go out there and represent a dude
Which
that
can-
might be put to
the
death.
game.
That's to help
And
on
so
the
you-
appeals.
So you have to go through certain training to make sure that you are qualified to adequately represent that person.
And if that person is sentenced to death, then they're automatically an appeal.
So if it's a contested case, there will always be an appeal. But to your point, if it's a death penalty case, that appeal will take a long time. There'll be appeals and appeals and
So
appeals.
would it cost the county, all that time that it's being appealed and appealed? Is that
I
cost the county?
would assume there would be some cost to the county. I don't know that for sure. I think it'd be less of a cost than talking about going through trial, but I can't tell you that there would be some type of cost
Yes, sir.
associated with it. So yes, you have to be certified to represent somebody if they're potentially going to get the death penalty.
So who'd you say makes that decision, the AG's office for the death penalty?
And he's appointed a lawyer now, he's already appointed a person,
No, he's retained.
or he's retained his own.
Yes.
That's why, probably not standing up here speaking, I wouldn't mind seeing, how are those bills broken down? I mean, is there
They're
just?
sealed.
Okay, that's what I was about to say.
That's what's frustrating, they're sealed.
Yeah,
You
so-
look at it.
One of 25,000, one of
We're over 40,000 in on this.
Yeah, we're verbally told that these expenses are there for evaluations, mental
Yeah.
evaluations.
The good thing with that, if I could be, I'm trying to be an optimistic person, is that once enough evaluation is done, you would think that it would stop. Right, like at the outset, there would be certain experts that get involved to kind of set a baseline of what you're dealing with if you're representing that accused.
But they tend to hire or utilize additional experts if they are going for the death penalty. And that's what I was told would cost, why it would cost us so much more money, that if the AG does not go after the death penalty, then there won't be as many witnesses and, because a lot of these people that they would have to go evaluate and interview are out of state, so you're paying for airfare, you're paying for everything.
That's very true. I think that's why, speaking on camera, but the system is probably way above all of our pay grade, could be streamlined a little bit better. I think we're dealing with the system that we're dealing with, and that, yes, I think seeking the death penalty overall is an extremely expensive venture, and you hate to break it down that way, it's just the way that it is. And
It's
so,
a shame that the dollar figure has
A variant.
to weigh into
you know,
justice.
and we're gonna see, I think that, of course, we're talking about sealed bills right now, so it's very hard for us to kind of like weigh what's going on. But I think that if the death penalty is sought and we get the insurance involved, I think we can track that to see if that insurance is really helping us. Because that's what happened with the Brett Black case, is that we sought death at the outset. Regional Public Defender's Office came in. We would have to go back and look at what that process cost. Obviously, it ended up being life without parole at the end of the day. But they came involved, so it would be maybe not a bad thing to look back and see what the total cost of all of that process was, just to maybe see if there's a cap to this thing of what we're dealing with, or if that 39% should just keep being eaten up.
Well,
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Brian.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Kind of did.
Yeah.
I make a motion to pay the bill.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye? Motion carried, item number 4. Through the payroll.
You got someone?
We ain't got
I have one this time. No action on number 4. Item number 5 is going to be reports. Have a report from our county extension agent for the month of December. Very busy month. Coming up in January, the 9th, 10th, be the Freestone County Fair Association Youth Commercial Heifer Contest and Sale. So if anybody's looking at purchasing any commercial heifers, it'd be a very
Saturday.
good place to spend your money.
I think the viewing is
During the day.
during the day, Saturday prior to, and they have a meal. You got to buy a ticket to, and then the auctions after the meal. So that's Saturday. I think it all starts about 5. You can look at it 4 or 5, and then the meal starts at 5, and the auction starts at 5:30.
Also have a report from Freestone County Constable Precinct 2. Have a report from Tick Fire Department for December. 21 calls, 4 structure fires, 3 vehicle fires, 3 grass fires, 7 motor vehicle collisions, and 4 miscellaneous. They also sent their year-end report for 2025. They had 275 calls, 16 were structure fires, 16 were vehicle fires, 84 motor vehicle collision incidents, 68 grass fires, and 91 miscellaneous.
Yeah, that's lots of time.
That's
A lot of people volunteer.
That's a
You
lot.
put the year-end deal, I mean, it kind of gets, I mean, that's, we're very lucky to have people that are willing to donate their time on it.
We also have our, did you put this one up here? It's our county sick leave quarterly report. It stayed the same.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
I say.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye. Motion carried. Item number 6, burn ban.
You heard anything from them?
We are pretty dry, we're down in the 300s. Last time I think we had rain was first part of December, around a 2/10 of an inch, so keep that in consideration. I know SIG had a fire over the weekend, it was 5 acres, but it is getting dry and the wind is picking up some.
Got a chance of rain
Friday, pretty good chance to apply, so.
50%, and now it's down to 20. But whatever.
That means either it will or it won't,
Well, that's
but it's
right.
still 50.
Yeah. 50 yesterday, 20.
No action on number 6.
Oh, well.
Item number 7, special road use agreements. Anybody have anything?
Got a plat, good,
You got a,
keep right here,
there's
right here.
there's no signature lines on there, but I'm sure you need to sign at least, and then you'll
Attest.
attest.
What precinct is this in?
I think it's in Andy's. I think.
It's in the city.
It's in the- yeah, it's in the
It's
city.
city. Look, George brought it in this morning.
I don't see a place to sign it all.
No, Renee told me, she said there's not a place, but somebody needs to sign something. I would think.
Yeah, normally it's on the maps for you sign.
Mm-hmm.
That was brought in, Lloyd, by George Robson, attorney.
Have a motion to approve this, plat under item number 7.
I'll make it motion.
I'll say.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye. Motion carried. Item number 8, to approve bonds and education certificates for county officials and employees. One, certified that Tammy Carruthers has successfully completed the security and privacy security role with the Criminal Justice Information Services and Security and Privacy Training, CJIS. Any other?
Is that one on the back there?
Well, on the back of my, yeah,
Constitution's Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This is on these reports.
Do it right there. You just have it
This shows what
Yes, it's a certificate stating that, Officer Fitch has, completed a course with Immigration Office pursuant to the Immigration and Nationality Act.
okay.
Any other reports? Certificates?
I make a motion to approve bonds and education certificates.
I'll second.
Have a motion and second, all in favor, aye? Carried. Item number 9 is going to be the JABS contracts, maintenance and support agreement. We had tabled this previously, because we didn't know if there was a big increase or not. Found out it's a gonna cost $116 more than it did last year, the last contract. It is for the audio and recording in the county courtroom.
I'll make a motion, we enter into the agreement for another year. That's what we're doing basically, right?
Yeah, we need
I second it.
a motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 10 is to consider appointment, reappointment of county health authority. I've reached out to a couple, haven't got any answers back. I don't know if anybody else, but I need a motion to table. If you
I'll
don't,
make that motion.
motion second, all in favor, aye? Item number 11 is to consider appointment and reappointment of our emergency management coordinator, Mr. Smith. Talked to him, he's willing to stay on as our emergency management coordinator.
I'll make a motion to appoint Leonard Smith,
I second.
Reappoint.
reappoint.
I second.
A motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
We got the same.
Carried.
Thank you, Larry.
Item number 12 is discussion and possible action on obsolete AED recycling.
We reached out to a company for recycling purposes. We've got 4 AED devices and 5 batteries that are obsolete. They're over 10+ years old. So this company, there's no fee, it's for free. All we have to do is pay for the shipping to get them there, so.
And they will give us a manifest or certificate of
Yes.
disposition?
Yes.
Okay. We need to do that.
We, okay.
Yeah. Is there a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
and what that is just the county is going about the disposal of these units that are of no use to us. So we just having paperwork to show that we disposed of them in the proper manner. They didn't get put in the burn pile of precinct 3. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Thought you made the motion.
What is that?
No.
Okay, motion is second, all in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 13, consideration and possible action on abolishment of local ordinance to collect additional alcohol license and permit fees authorized by Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code, section 11.38. Dan?
Is that's what you were telling me, when you talked to me about the other day? Okay, I thought so.
Morning, Judge Lane, Commissioners. I believe you've got a packet that starts with the Senate Bill 1008 on the first page. I just want to run through it quickly. Ask for consideration.
We don't have it.
You have it, okay. I'll just go through what I've got. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to elaborate best I can. It was a Senate Bill 1008 that passed in the 89th legislative session, this last session, that took effect September 1st of 2025. And a key provision of it, it prohibited local governments, cities, counties, and public health districts are prohibited from charging local alcohol permit or license fees to any food service establishment that has already paid a fee to operate to the state or another local jurisdiction. And a little history, there's 2 provisions in the Texas Alcohol Beverage Code, 1138, which I have the text in here for you to see. Let's see, 1138 and 6136, which are both worded almost identical, that authorized the county, in this instance, to collect a portion of the fees that the establishment pays to the state. A beer and wine fee for 2 years is like $130, so we collect $65 of that when they renew. So we've done that. The Commissioners Court back in November 24th of 1997, adopted an ordinance to collect these fees based on the two referenced TABC codes. And so we've done that ever since then, but the House Bill 1008 basically gutted our ability to do that. And there's some confusion. I see stuff on this to serve. A lot of my peers are confused on how to really go forward, what really constitutes a permit, whether it's health only or for food service, and what's food service. You know, is it just your roller carts at a convenience store, or, you know, we know sit-down places would fall. So there's some confusion as to who's going to qualify. If we get it wrong, it's actionable against the county. So I spoke with Brian in December on the best way to go forward on this, and we looked at what has been generated in the past and what we think might be generated in the future revenue-wise, and he felt it best, as do I, to just repeal the ordinance, just stop doing these collections. So that's what I'm going to propose that y'all consider.
Because if a place has food, they've paid a health.
Correct.
So you can, they don't, you're not gonna get anything.
Correct.
So
Those
that's
places
most
are
all the
completely
convenience
out.
stores that have food.
In my way of thinking, and Brookshire Brothers is an establishment that they have, I'm sure they have to have health permits for, I would think, the meat, but if not, certainly the food they serve. So the more I thought about it, this could be a pretty wide brush. So we just felt it might be best just to repeal that ordinance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean,
The time it would take to try to figure out who.
It's not worth the liability, really.
yeah,
Get it wrong.
a lot of our places like that do serve food. We don't have many liquor stores or, you know, places. But to me, trying to figure it out versus the money that's coming in, I think that a lot of it would be exempt. I'm in agreement. I think a lot of places would be exempt from paying us it anyway. The amount of money that we're collecting right now is minuscule. And it also makes sense why they repealed it, because I can see if you're an establishment, I'm paying certain fees to the state. I'm getting double dipped.
Yeah, it's just.
Right, I'm paying the state, hey, the state's telling me I'm all good, now the county, I gotta pay them a little piece of the pie. I can see why it came into play and why for us, it would make the most sense that, hey, they're paying their state, they're being regulated, this kind of cuts us out of the deal. Is that fair?
So is there a motion to abolish this local ordinance to collect that additional alcohol license and permit fee?
I make that motion.
I second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 14 is discussion and possible action on scrapping the Butler Volunteer Department fire truck. This truck is set, parked out by the wood line for 8 to 10 years. Flat tires. I mean, we had approved through court several months ago to allow the training facility over at TIG to use it when they set up these mock accidents and stuff like that. And they have been pretty blessed with people donating stuff for them to use, and so they don't need it at this time. Again, it's just something that's out there that needs to be disposed of, and so although we had said that we would donate it to the facility, now that they don't want it, we just want to see if we can go ahead and just scrap it.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 15, discussion on abatement project within Freestone County. So, if you want to continue, if you got anything else, sir?
Thank you for
we
listening
can
to me
at least
earlier. No,
start.
I think that's pretty clear on my feelings, so.
Yes, sir. You did ask a question as far as how far along the project was.
Yes.
I mean, from what I was told, they're started clearing land.
Mhm.
I don't see anything they were in a hurry.
Yeah.
You know, as far as, they said that they would start right away. And, was it you that went by there that said that they were pushing timber?
And I don't know whether, we tried to ask all the questions we knew. Water and noise was our main two, and it's in writing, they assured, because we were very concerned about the water, and they assured us no more than 1,150 gallons a day.
Really?
Like 3 to 4 households, which, you know, that, pretty well, that's not much. And then the noise, it's a minimum of 45 to 50 decibels.
Right.
And they did a test, somebody,
Yeah, we-
you did a monitoring here while we were discussing all that, and it was pretty well like our.
Yeah, we would get up to 80 decibels when a lot of people in this room would start talking. And so,
So that was the main question, some of the main questions that we
and
wanted.
their noise comes from fans.
Yeah.
One of the things that we did look and research was just the decibels of low-level frequency noise that's generated even in your own home from an icebox and a freezer and your central unit, or if it's a window unit or whatever. You know, we don't really think about it, and they're our amenities that we choose to have, but they're putting off that same low-level noise that our body, you know, not everybody hears it. You know, some people hear it more than others. But as far as what they have put in writing, that the amount of noise coming from that, and of course they have also stated that there will be a barrier around these with trees. But we have it in writing on the water usage, we have it in writing on the noise levels at, I think they said the average would be 55 decibels. One reason that they can say that theirs is down because they put their fans on the ground rather than on top. And what they're saying is there's a lot of noise absorption in amongst the buildings themselves.
And we also addressed the lighting.
The lighting, they did say all turn down lighting.
Yeah, I asked that question because we've had some other issues up there before where people want to come in there and put lights up in the sky like we're talking about.
Exactly.
And so I asked that specific question, and they said their lights would be turned down to the ground, and that's something that, so there's not supposed to be any lights in the sky.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, very much, yeah.
And
Again, we tried to look at that every which way that we could.
there's so much information out there about these data centers and the water usage and the noise, and I think there's one in Leon County right now, and they sent me the data on it, and I wouldn't agree to it either. I mean, the water consumption's just crazy,
Yeah.
and plus it's tapping the grid.
Yeah, it's taking power
You know,
out of
taking
the
power out of
grid,
the grid,
which is-
and, you know, I said, well, it doesn't compare to what, I mean, because we're not just agreeing to anything, it's gotta fit, it's gotta, you know, but anyway.
Well, thank y'all for that, that's very, you know, I only learned about this reading the paper, in the last couple of weeks, I guess, and I thought, well, wait a minute, what's going on? Because my brother had his college roommate, you know, of course, he's over 70 now, but John, they built one close to his house in Virginia, and he finally had to sell his house and move. He said that it's like he was living under a runway where the planes would never stopped, you know, it's just very loud, so thank y'all for being attentive.
Well,
to
and
those
they
issues.
also, correct me, I don't want to misspeak, but minimum of 40 jobs,
Yeah, that was the job number, minimum 40.
Yeah.
and
Which
of
is
all
not-
descriptions.
Not a lot, but they did say as far as hiring local, we discussed after the meeting that day that we have kids that graduate from this county and they go to TSTC over in Waco, and some of them get these I&C and electrical and stuff like that, and it's going into that industry and stuff, and so they said to encourage those kids, once they get that, to reach out to them, that they would rather hire local than from outside.
And we also talked to them about traffic during construction.
Yes.
And they had talked about having a
Staging
site and having buses instead of just having 500 cars down the highway. I mean, because it you know, on a FM road like that it's not the country anymore.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I think we all share the same concern. This is Freestone County and, of course, Leon County as well. They're still pretty unique in terms of the attributes I think we all grew up loving and enjoying, and such a delicate balance when these things get going. It creates a catalyst for change that we ultimately wish we weren't.
You're such a target.
We feel the pressure because we see it coming from the south and we see it coming from the north.
We're kind of, we're in a little buffer, I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, well, I'd like to keep it that way.
And our location, you know, somewhat halfway between Dallas and Houston is, plus we got the lowest tax rate. Freestone County's got the lowest tax rate of any surrounding county.
Yeah.
So we're a target.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, we want to keep taxes low.
And, you know, I'm trying to look 5 years down the road, which is super important. It's hard to, you know, we're limited on what we can do, because unlike a city that
Right.
has
Oh,
an
yeah.
ordinance, you know, and the county can't do that.
Mhm.
The legislature only works every 2 years,
Yeah.
and,
Thank goodness.
but I would welcome ideas from the public that said, hey, you know, knowing what's coming at you from both directions, here's what you can do to protect yourself. But then again, we still have to respect private property rights, you know, and so.
I foresee, we have so much continuing education every year we have to do, and this isn't just a topic in Freestone County or Leon, I mean, it's statewide, and they really addressed solar in the last school I went to, and about the best, I mean, how to manage it, I mean, how to handle it the best way you can. And I feel like the data centers will be their next topic. I mean, they kind of
Well,
come
the
to.
one that I went to, it was the data centers
Okay.
were, and there were some judges there from southeast Texas, but they were doing the same thing we were. I mean, they had to, you know, people have stated that the commissioner's court should not give an abatement, because that's just an incentive for them, and if you take that incentive away from them, then they might not build here. But you'll have to look at it from our position. We have a budget and a tax rate to look at, and if we don't accept that pilot, and when you look at this list of solar farms, I'm not for these solar farms. I think they're ugly. But
Yeah,
again,
none
it
of
goes
us-
back to private property rights, but when we look at what could come in, if we did not do a pilot, which, an abatement, you might say, but if we didn't do that, then our tax rate would get down extremely low. And then when you look at the depreciation, and
But there's a federal mandated accelerated depreciation schedule that goes along with solar. It kind of put us up against the wall. They depreciate 80% in 10 years with an economic life of 40. So you tell me where that fits in the normal world.
But we can only move the tax rate
And
3.5%.
And when we made our first decision, there was 800, before we made a deal with anything, there was around 800 million worth of infrastructure in solar. Well, that would have been, if we just said, no, we're not doing anything, then that would have been about 64 million a year coming off our valuation.
Right.
And that determines, you know, that the valuation determines our tax rate and our no new revenue rate. And we could, and then that'd be every year for 10 years, 60-something million. And I don't think we couldn't keep up because we can only go up 3.5%. We can go down as far as we want. Now we're at 1.8 billion in solar. That's 160 billion a year.
Yeah.
You know, if they all go through, which historically 1 in 3 is all that goes through, but we already got 2 commenced construction. So we were
And
kind of against the wall.
I called Evan with RC this morning, talked to him, and just a little update on the RC Solar, which would be Mr. Ratcliffe's property and the Bell family on the east end of the county. They are still moving forward. They're not going to lose any of their federal incentives. They had purchased enough of their assets to keep it going. But he did say that it would probably be, before we saw any pilot money off of that, it would be 2028. And he didn't see any construction starting until possibly very late this year, early 27. And then he's also involved with the Freestone Solar, which is Moisture's. He did say that was still moving as well. much. I don't think we've heard hardly nothing.
It's just, we hear on the front end, and then I don't, we don't know, we have to. And also, that pilot program, that gives us the opportunity, we can't force a road use agreement. Well, that, and that gives us, we tie it to it. Where if we're gonna make a deal with you, you're gonna do a road use agreement, and you're gonna guarantee, and that's a plus. Because we can't force somebody to enter into a road use agreement.
Well, I certainly appreciate the complexity of the variables that are in the model you have to weigh. I will say two things that are very broad principle based, and thank y'all for all of that. I appreciate it. I'm not fussing. I'm just wanting you to know what one citizen feels about these things. So the two things I would mention. When you, in much here in my life, I chaired the planning and zoning in Arlington. I was on the city council. I was part of that whole sports complex and the whole development process and all the incentives we did. And so I have some background in thinking about these things, but these things we're going to get are back-ended with things we're going to have to do. There's more people, there's more costs, there's more fire trucks, there's more school children, and all of a sudden you've got this complicated economic model. You can't really just say this is a net win, because it does come at a cost. So we have to be real careful with that. But, also my PhD in economics and accounting, and God, do I believe in the free market economy. And when governments use their power to select projects, whether it's the federal government's incentives for windmills or solar farms or my gosh, y'all look at the big beautiful tax bill and look at the economic incentive zones they're going to have in there. It'll blow your mind. There's there's provision in there. If you invest in economic incentive zones, they're going to designate this year, starting 27, capital gains that you have on whatever you're reinvesting, whether it's stocks or anything, you don't have to pay tax on that. And whatever you buy in that zone, you won't have to pay tax on for 30 years. Like, well, these little pockets like Cass County and East Texas, they're going to boom. But do they need to boom? I'm like, it's simply the government picking the winners and the losers. Now, so free market economy is what lifts people's lives. That's why it's so precious. And we need to be very careful as regulators, governmental entities, not to interfere with that ball too much, because then you create these disallocations of resources that lower standards of living. And I'll close with one example. I also did a lot of business in the Czech Republic after the Velvet Revolution. And those people were quick to show me a building. It was called the Ministry of Allocation, and it was abandoned, but it was a big building. And the people hated that building because that's where the government made decisions about every element of production. What's going to be produced, what's going to be taxed. As a result, when you had a child born, you put them on a list for a new car, because the waiting list was like 18 years to get a car. They said you'd go to the store and the shelves might be full of toilet paper and you couldn't get less. Over and over and over, it's because the markets weren't allowed to do what they can so beautifully and wonderfully do. And that's why I'm so passionate about, if somebody wants to do a data center, and we don't have rules prohibiting that, let them do a data center, talk about things like light shielding, let's be good neighbors. But when it's time to pay the taxes, let's let each pay the tax on the value they create. And if they don't want to come, fine. If they do want to come, fine. But we're all under the same rules, the same umbrella. That's my principled structure. And again, I'm just wanting to share my feelings on that, because when I see the incentive programs, I'm like, just saying let them go, leave it for somebody else. If that's the cost to get this, then I don't really have an interest in getting it, because we already have a precious asset here that needs to be protected. That's my view. So thank you for letting me vent here. So maybe too much of a professor there.
Yeah, I'm Darlene Hall, and I just wanted to address the commissioners, and thank you for listening to us. I live at 307-901 in Teague, and the Cotton Gin, where the solar farms are. And I have a petition from all the residents that signed it, and I'd like to approach and give you a copy of it. And I'm speaking on behalf of them as well.
and I'm not sure how to do this. I've never been in this setting, but I'm here today to voice my strong opposition to the proposed 3,000-acre solar installation and representing the local families that signed the petition, the Pedra Solar Farm, and Total Energies in our community. While we understand there's a need for renewable energy, a project of this massive scale is the right idea, but in the wrong location, we feel like. The loss of our rural character is the first thing that we're concerned about. Our neighborhood is defined by its agriculture and residential scenic character, covering 3,000 acres, nearly 5 square miles, with our homes converting to an industrial power plant, glass and steel transformers from a rural sanctuary. This is a permanent change to a landscape that can never be reversed. Our topsoil is disturbed, the wildlife corridors are fenced off, and the second thing is the economic concerns and our property values. Many of us, of the 250 plus people that have signed this petition in my family, who's been here since 1876, my great-grandfather, have invested our life savings into our homes and into Freestone County. The industrial scale of the solar arrays in such close proximity to our residences have shown to negatively impact property values. We are asking you who's going to compensate us for our that's our life savings, and what I plan to will to my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And the environmental and safety risks are also a big concern. We have concerns about the heat island, the effects of storm water runoff, removal of 3,000 acres of trees and natural vegetation can change how the water moves, which I flooded 2 years ago and lost my driveway, and Commissioner McSwain has been wonderful to us through that. Potentially leading to flooding or as well water issues. Furthermore, we haven't seen a concrete bonded plan for the decommissioning of the panels once they stop this in 25 years or 20 years. We're going to be left with a 3,000-acre graveyard with toxic material, and if the solar company goes bankrupt in 20 years. And the conclusion is that we are not against progress, but we are against the industrialization of our neighborhoods. We ask you to represent the citizens who live here, pay taxes, and raise our families here, not in the interest of out-of-state energy developers. Please say no to this project before it's too late. And I know they've already gotten permits and they've submitted 60% of their plans, but I've been told that the flood plan is not going to change. And they've removed the trees all the way around these creeks that flood my area. So I don't believe that. And then the other thing is, I just brought why Italy banned the solar farms in Spain, in different countries, and our beliefs in the United States. And the battery dangers, all that, I don't believe any of that has really been discussed, and I'm very concerned about what we're going to be left with. So I appreciate you letting me take your time and talk about it.
On if they walk away and go bankrupt and
That's
just
been a
leave it
concern
out there,
from the get-go.
that was our initial concern, and of course their bond is held by the state. So they're not required to put up a bond with this county, and as we cannot require them to, because the state overrides us and they have to have a bond in place there, which means the state would be responsible for that cleanup. And we see it with the Railroad Commission on oil and gas sites, that's a slow process, and it doesn't work very well the way it's being run right now. But that's where that bond and that reassurance that there would be a cleanup comes from. It's at a state level.
I want to let you know, I started Monday talking to them, that bunch. And I was back and forth Monday. I said, y'all need to have somebody here to answer some questions. That's mainly environmental safety, water, the concerns you conveyed to me. And they said, sure, we'll have somebody, and it was back and forth. And last night, I talked to the girl from Houston again. I got some of the people, she said, I can't get them on this short notice. I said, well, y'all, I suggested, well, bring one of your representatives with a laptop and y'all Zoom, and we can answer some questions. And she said, I'll get back with you. And then I got an email about 8 o'clock last night. We're not gonna be able to get there. Our concern will, you know, so I'm leaving it at that. I thought up till 8 o'clock last night, we were gonna have somebody here.
And I appreciate that. And also, I noticed that this company that has bought all the land, that they have partnerships with a company in China that we're not supposed to really be doing business with after January 1.
I was assured the owner is in Houston.
Well, these are press releases, and there's 3 different ones. So they're not all about solar, they're green energies, but they're, you know, jet fuel, and it's Sinopec is the name of the company in China. And I just printed them off the internet, and it has both their logos where they're in partnership, and they plan to do business together for the next 15 years, and
I looked at that email, Ms. Strickland, giving me a copy of it, and so I did a Wikicorp search on the Piedra, and so I think it's 2 different totals, because the Piedra, when I done that, it didn't show them tied to either one of the companies in the press release.
The guy assured me, he told me, because I
and we've asked every company, is any of this foreign owned? And it was Senate Bill 17 that actually went in effect September the 1st. And those, that was North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran. It is illegal in the state of Texas for them to have any ownership, and that's agricultural land, industrial land, any type of real property, mineral rights, water rights, any of that. So, again, they would be in violation of that, and we have asked every company that's come prior to us doing a reinvestment zone if they had any foreign ownership or affiliation, and of course they've all told us no. What we can do outside of that, you know, but I just want you to know that it is something that we
do you want these? Do you want copies of these? I mean, I didn't make them for everyone, but I brought them with me, and one of them has Total Energies and Sinopec's logos at the top.
I think I gave them that. I think that's.
So these are 3 different ones.
I've got that one.
That's one of them, but there's 2 other ones.
I have this one here, which is pretty much the same press release.
I don't know, I think these are different. If you don't mind,
Sure.
I'll just give them to you. I just highlighted what they said. And then this one is the one that has the logo that you have. The 2 logos.
Like I said, I couldn't, this particular company, I couldn't connect them through Wikicorp.
That's who's on the, Total Energies is the company that bought the land in our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, every one of these, correct me, they all are put together up front, and then they change hands. 'Cause
Right.
we get confused on names, because they come in after, because so many, like 1 in 3 of these projects don't come to be, you know, because they got to get mineral owners signed off, they got to get, if it's in production, they got to get, you know, whatever company's holding the, you know, everybody, a lot of hurdles. And I think once it gets to a certain stage, then they pedal it off, I think. Yeah, we didn't know anything.
Yeah, it would have been after the fact of anything that we did as far as that involvement. Because like I said, I didn't even look that up or know there was an affiliation with Total until Ms. Darlene gave me a copy of your, that press release. But again, with the company that we started dealing with was Core, and then they did a rename, and that's when it became Piedra. And so that's the company, that's the last one that we signed any paperwork with. And when you Wikicorp Piedra, it shows no affiliation with Total. So,
But according to the appraisal district, that Total Energies owns the property.
right.
So they're
Piedra,
leasing it
they
to
probably
maybe.
put it together, and then that's when the name change came.
But according to our records, it still shows that Total Energies own it,
Right.
to my understanding.
So the question would be,
Are we doing business with China as of
Exactly.
January
Yeah.
1?
yeah, because like the press release that you presented, it clearly shows that Total is doing business with Cinepec.
Right.
But just because they have a JV doesn't mean that Cinepec owns any portion of Total. And again, then that's, I mean, how do we know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious. I'm Amanda Bluebaker. I live down the road from Darlene. I have been affected by this already. This is not even completed. I put my house up for sale in, I believe it was April of 2023, and lost the sale of my house due to the solar farm. My house is pretty much not valued at anything now. I'm curious if my property taxes will reflect that. Have y'all thought about that?
That's an appraisal district question. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
It should. I know people who have gotten their values lowered way down because a compressor station was put in, which creates noise, and yes, I mean, they extremely lowered the value of their property.
Chicken houses, I compare it to a lot to chicken houses, you know, none of us want one next to us.
When I spoke to the appraisal district, they said as of right now, that's not affecting it. So maybe it's because they're waiting until the floods and the farms are in. I don't know.
I think once the eyesore is there, then to me, I've always had good luck in dealing with the appraisal office. If I took pictures and I had a legitimate reason to think that something that I owned was overvalued. And I went in and explained, and I've even went to the protest years ago and stuff, and watched how that worked. And I think the main thing is just a common sense approach, and it's kind of undeniable that when you have beautiful land around your house, there's nothing to take away from the value of your house. But when you change that, and then it does devalue your property, you know? And so, I mean, I think what you said is extremely legitimate, and I don't know how they couldn't take that in consideration.
Yeah, I don't either.
And like I say, there are cases, and I know some people personally that have gotten their values lowered tremendously because of oil field compressor stations. So if that would help you, I can share that with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'm Leanne Redgrove. I live right down the road, and the solar panels are gonna be right there at the end of my driveway. And we've also been told it's gonna make our house 30 degrees hotter on the inside. And we're gonna be sitting like it's an incubator for storms and tornadoes. Do y'all know if that's true? Because when I pull it up, that's what they tell
Well,
us.
that's why I wanted them here, Lee, and just to see if they could answer some
I
questions
mean,
that because we're, you know.
Right there.
Yeah, I know exactly where, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my lot bill's already expensive because I live in a 2-story house, and we added to it for my 83-year-old mother to also live there with us. And, you know, it's like, what are we gonna do now? So, I'm just curious, do we need to move or let them have our place, or, you know?
I've also heard of people, they're losing their homeowner's insurance because they can't afford, if, say, my house caught on fire and it went across the road and it burned the solar farm, I mean, my insurance isn't gonna pay for that. They don't wanna pay for that. I can't afford to have a policy to cover for that, so no one's gonna wanna offer me homeowner's insurance. So what do we do then? I mean, all of these things add up.
Yeah, they
I
do.
have confronted Logan, I can't remember his last name, I'm sure y'all can.
I got y'all,
Yes, sir.
Logan, yeah, I know you come out with.
And we couldn't answer that, and when we asked who's going to to pay for this, and we're treated extremely bad. I've never been treated the way he treated us, yes.
Another concern is that I've heard that the wind and the rain cause fires with the panels. And is our volunteer fire department going to be expected to fight those fires?
Last I checked, they had no training of how to put out a fire like this.
We've talked to them about getting with fire departments on the front side.
They're supposed to
Any kind of special
Any kind
training,
of special training they are supposed to provide.
they're supposed to provide our volunteer fire departments. That and battery facilities, of all this stuff coming, is trying to come in, because the battery, that's a big concern. They're supposed to provide training.
I have a friend that lives in Gregory. She said solar parks came there. She said the noise is 24/7. A humming, deep humming sound all around her property. So it's also a noise factor.
It's merely anecdotal. I live on Oak Street, right down by the park, the little cutover road to 488. When y'all built that, when the truck stop came in, I'm a night owl. I sit out back at night and watch for predators. The amount of noise coming off that truck stop that I hear at my house, it dims the concentrators. I don't hear the concentrators anymore. I hear the trucks. And I'm a mile and a half from there, and that's coming at me this direction. And if I have the data center coming at me this direction, it's going to be so noisy that it's going to upset the wildlife. It's going to stunt growth on our trees, which is kind of woo-woo, but it really does. And just the fact that I don't have the peace of mind at night to sit out back in the quiet dark and listen for the bobcats and the coyotes and the things that come through to eat my chickens. And yesterday I donated a chicken to a Fairfield eagle. It was pretty impressive. That was a big bird. But as an anecdote, the noise will hit me from two sides on that data center. And I'm already at my wit's end with the truck stop. It's a lot of noise.
When we asked about the distance that noise would travel, they told us typical was no more than 1.5 miles.
Well, I live on Oak Street and I can hear it clear as day.
Well, I'm talking about
Yeah.
as far as the mileage from the data center to your house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think
in the
it's
dark
pretty well
Texas
known
night.
that just the noise from Highway 84 in front of the courthouse
Yeah.
is more noise than a data center.
Well, once it's magnified in the dark, in the Texas night, we'll be able to hear it. And it'll just be more noise. And
You hear, Commissioner Bonner will be hearing it a lot. more
yeah,
than
you will. Yeah, I will. All right, thank you guys. And thank you for the other piece of business.
And Ms. Brubaker, on one thing that I would say, some of the things that y'all stated a while ago become civil matters, of course. When you're talking about temperature and what it costs your bills and how, documentation would be a good thing.
That'd be key.
Document everything that I could.
Yes, sir.
I'm
But it's two private property owners, you being one, them being the other, that this is creating issues for. And so it does become a civil matter at that point.
And I told them, since they didn't show up to answer questions, that this was on YouTube, they could listen to all the questions asked today, and I'm free to share any contact info I have with any of y'all and anybody y'all want to talk to with there, since they didn't come. I mean, I'll share anything I got. I've got about 3 numbers. Other than not Logan, I've got 3 others, and anyway, I'll be happy to share them with you.
I think it would be very smart on that company's behalf to hold like a community-wide meeting for everyone that lives in that area to go, and I'm sure they don't want to, but it would be smart on their behalf. And if they would just share what their plans are and be open about it, I feel like it would be a a better situation than hiding it and being secretive. Because none of us were ever told about anything. We kind of find out on our own, and that's not the way things should have been handled.
I know that the data center, those people there told us in court that they would be glad to come back to court and answer any questions. If there were some people had some questions or had some problems, they would come back and be glad to answer those. So I don't know about the solar people, but I do know about the data center, that's what they told us.
I know, like myself, I didn't even know what was going on until I believe Amanda's the one who's, the first one who mentioned, she's like, do you know we're fixing to get the solar farms right here? And I was like, no, nobody, I didn't get no letters, no knock at the door, no warning, no nothing, until boom, it was already, already doing it.
It was back in 2023, and I printed off a newspaper article where it was put in there, but they had went to the TIG ISD before we ever knew anything about it or, approached for anything, because at that time, Chapter 312 was in effect, which allows, if they do a pilot program with the school based on their taxes, then that money stayed, that 312, Chapter 312 allows the money to stay within the school. So they're not receiving that money and sending it into Austin and then only being paid a portion of it back based off of population. And the first one of these that come through, I guess, was the Bar C. Down there. I got contacted by Oakwood ISD and pretty much every school board member and the superintendent. And so the solar companies, though, they promise a lot. And especially to your schools, and when that Chapter 312 was in effect, it is since sunset, I think, December 31st, 2024.
Yeah, it went away.
And we haven't approved anything since that 312 sunset. We haven't given any abatements. There were some renames. There were some that did renames, but they was always reinvestments.
I don't know, it gets confusing with the renames, trying to keep, that's why we got us a list printed.
The pressure comes to us is, once we find out about it, they've already sold the entire school, faculty and board members on all this money. And then they say, by the way, make sure your county commissioners are going to give us an abatement, or everything we just promised you, it won't happen. And that's how we first found out about how this works, and so we tried. I think we've asked pertinent questions about all these things, and we've done what we can do, but again, we're limited because of private property rights and just the fact that we can't make ordinances, Yes.
My name's Charlie Johnson, I'm from Milo Board. Tell me to shut up and sit down, and I won't take no offense to it, okay? I was asked to come here representing Catwall, who's doing state representative, and I've listened to some of this stuff. We started talking about data centers and the problems with them and the opportunities with them last summer. The question I have, you've been assured that there won't be more than, that it'll be average 55 decibels, 3 households worth of water. What recourse do you have if it's 155 decibels and 300 households worth of water? Do you have any recourse? Can you do something about that?
Okay.
It would shut down.
Well, the TCEQ and the EPA from a federal level would be responsible for shutting them down for making too much noise.
So you don't have any recourse?
No, sir.
Okay. So these are just assurances right now.
Now, on the water, we
Well,
have,
I thought if they violate our agreement on that,
they lose their abatement.
They lose everything. That's about all we got.
Okay,
Any kind of deal, anything we had goes away, and then they
We
break that
can't go
deal.
say, turn the power off.
Yeah, we can't.
Okay, good. Well, I just want to say, looking to get counties more authority on zoning in unincorporated area. And there's no doubt data centers bring jobs and they can bring some economic development. But they also have an insatiable appetite for water and for power. In fact, every region in the country that's gone with data centers has seen a spike in residential electric rates. So we want to deal with that. We need for national security to have the data centers, but it would be irresponsible not to plan ahead for the real issues that are coming on, and we've been talking about that. So that's all I got to say.
To address your concern on the power usage, again, while we say it's not apples to apples, when you look at the data center that's proposed in Marquay versus the one out at Calpine. Calpine just recently, or they're completing, I think they'll be on in February, a new peaker plant, which will generate more power than the turbines that they have out there that they're currently using. So that peaker plant, we were told that the power, which is additional power, is more than their plant is making right now. That's all going into the grid. And the turbines that have been there for the last 20 years, that's where the power will come from that's going to feed the data center. So this is not supposed to be any type of reduction in the amount. It'll be more power being put into the grid daily once the peaker plant's on and the data center's operating. They would still be putting more than what is currently being put in there right now.
I appreciate it, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Weren't we also told by them that if the grid got low, they were supposed to shut it down?
Yeah, they have a way of toning it.
Yeah.
I don't think they shut
No,
it.
I think ERCOT will shut them down. I mean, they'll be some of the first to go.
There was some discussion when we, just like all y'all, when we were here, we were asking all the questions y'all were asking us and trying to figure it out. And so they did say that there were some mandates that if the grid got low, that there were certain things they had to do not to keep it open or whatever.
That's one of the reasons for the amount of redundant power that these data centers will have on location. If there was a power failure that's feeding them, or if ERCOT says you can't have that power because we have an emergency, a state emergency, and we have to have that power, then they have to run on their backup power. And that did come from the government. He gave that authority to ERCOT.
I'm gonna talk now, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of things. I'm Angela Oglesby, and I do live here in Fairfield, and I'm on the Fairfield City Council. So, I have to take responsibility myself as a citizen of the county to be aware of when the Commissioners Court is meeting and when they're having public hearings. December 17th was the public hearing for the AI data center. I was here. The two men that are running for Judge Lane's position were here for the public hearing. And I will tell you from being, and you can go watch it on YouTube as well, y'all were very well prepared. You know, I have watched plenty of the Commissioners' Courts on YouTube, and I'm that armchair quarterback. Oh, I would have done that so differently. But coming here that day, I'm telling you, they were prepared. They had information. They had good questions to ask. The two gentlemen that are also running for county judge, they had questions. And if you watch the YouTube video, the company that's doing the AI, they were very transparent and very open. When this started, I believe it was the December 3rd meeting, I was watching the YouTube video like a day after, and that's when I'm like, oh, an AI data center. My concern was how they were going to cool it with the water. As a city, you know, we know about water. We have a water system. So I wanted to know, and that's why I came. And so I asked how they were going to cool it, because in a previous Commissioners Court meeting, one of the attorneys said that they were going to use a closed water loop for cooling. Okay, that's wonderful, because that takes care of all of your wastewater too. Now, the county does have some authority over wastewater and, you know, sewage. They do. So my question that day of a public hearing, I wanted to know, you say you're gonna do that loop, that water loop, but what happens if you get out there and you make a business decision and you decide, no, we're not gonna do it? So, if you go back and watch the YouTube video, the man assured me that they had, I think it's 75 others that they were working on, and they were all using the water cooling water loop.
Closed loop.
Yeah, the closed loop. And he also said this was something very interesting. He said that they had been in discussion, and he didn't have to provide this, with Calpine, because that's where they're getting the electric, but Calpine's water permit has enough that they're not using, that they could buy their water, is probably what they're going to do, from Calpine. So they won't even need to drill a well. Something else that was real interesting about that hearing was John Fryer was here. Do y'all know who John Fryer is? He sits on the East Texas Groundwater Conservation Board. I think he has been the president, he may still be that, but he was at that hearing, and he was asking questions too. So, I would say that they were very well prepared for the hearing. And a lot of questions about the AI Center were answered that day. And I feel good about it coming. I really do. Because I think they're going to stick with their word, because they were really transparent about the whole process. And so I just want to thank all of you commissioners, and you too, Judge Lane, for the research that you did for that project. I appreciate that a lot. And, you know, being an elected official myself, I liked it when I see that, you know, y'all are elected as well, that, yeah, you did your homework. And you listened to your constituents too, because y'all kept saying we had phone calls and I talked to people. So I appreciate all of that. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on item number 15? If not, I think we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll go into executive session.
Thank y'all for coming.